The sound of furniture scraping across hardwood floors hit me before I even opened the front door. My fingers tightened around my house keys, pressing metal ridges into flesh. Someone was in my home. Again. I'm Reagan, and this wasn't the first time I'd come home to find my mother-in-law redecorating my house like it was her personal dollhouse. Eleanor? I called out, stepping into what used to be my perfectly arranged living room. The sofa had migrated 3 feet left, and my grandmother's antique side table was shoved unceremoniously into a corner. "Oh, darling." Eleanor emerged from the kitchen, wearing that saccharine smile that never quite reached her eyes. "I thought this layout would work so much better for entertaining." The energy flow was all wrong before. "The energy flow was fine," I said, dropping my briefcase by the door. "Just like it was last week when you rearranged my bedroom furniture. Derek mentioned you've been working such long hours." "I'm only trying to help." She adjusted a throw pillow with practiced precision. "Speaking of which, I picked up Lily from school. She's upstairs doing homework." My daughter. My house. My life. The boundaries kept blurring, and Eleanor kept pushing, inch by calculated inch. That wasn't necessary. "I arranged for the after-school program today." "Oh, but why pay strangers when family is available?" She waved her hand dismissively. "Besides, I made her favorite mac and cheese. The organic kind, not that boxed stuff you buy." The jab stung, as intended. I caught my reflection in the mirror she'd repositioned. Another woman might have missed the slight curl of Eleanor's lip, the predatory gleam in her eye. But I'd spent 3 years studying my mother-in-law's micro-expressions, cataloging every passive-aggressive move. "Derek and I need to discuss these surprise visits," I said, keeping my voice level. "Discuss?" Eleanor laughed, the sound like breaking glass. "Sweetheart, Derek understands that family takes care of family. Especially now that his father's gone." She moved closer, placing her hand on my arm. Her grip was gentle, but her eyes were steel. "You do want to be part of this family, don't you?" The threat hung in the air between us. I could smell her expensive perfume, could feel the weight of her expectations pressing down like a stone on my chest. Upstairs, I heard Lily laugh, probably at something her grandmother had said or done earlier. "Of course," I replied, the lie bitter on my tongue. "Family is everything." Eleanor smiled, victorious. But she didn't see my other hand, hidden behind my back, knuckles white with rage, nails cutting crescents into my palm. She didn't know that every invasion, every subtle dig, every manipulation was being carefully recorded. Building towards something she'd never see coming. Not yet. Derek didn't come home until after 9. I watched him loosen his tie, his movements careful, deliberate, the way they always were when he was avoiding confrontation. "Your mother rearranged our living room again," I said, not looking up from my laptop where I was documenting today's incident. "And picked up Lily without asking. Mom's just trying to help, Reagan. She's lonely since Dad died." He sank into his armchair, now 3 feet left of where it belonged. "Besides, Lily loves spending time with her." "That's not the point." I closed my laptop with more force than necessary. "Yesterday she reorganized my closet. Last week she replaced all our kitchen towels because ours weren't sophisticated enough." Where does it end? The silence stretched between us like a rubber band ready to snap. Derek rubbed his temples, a gesture so like his mother it made my skin crawl. "Can we not do this tonight?" I had back-to-back meetings all day. My phone buzzed. A text from Eleanor. "Lily forgot her math worksheet at my house. I'll bring it by tomorrow morning and help her finish it before school." The rubber band snapped. She's doing it again, I said, showing Derek the message. Taking over, making decisions without consulting us. When was the last time we had breakfast, just the three of us? You're being paranoid. Derek stood up, his voice taking on that patronizing tone he'd inherited from Eleanor. Mom's helping us manage things. You're always complaining about being overwhelmed with work. I never asked for her help. The words came out sharper than intended, making Derek flinch. And speaking of work, where's my presentation USB? The one with the quarterly reports? What USB? The blue one. It was on my desk yesterday, but it's gone. Along with my mother's silver locket that was in my jewelry box. Derek's expression hardened. Are you suggesting my mother took them? Things keep disappearing whenever she's here. That doesn't strike you as odd? Christ, Reagan. He ran his hands through his hair. Listen to yourself. First you're upset about her helping with Lily, now you're accusing her of theft? I opened my mouth to argue, but footsteps on the stairs stopped me. Lily appeared in her unicorn pajamas, clutching her stuffed rabbit. Daddy! Grandma showed me how to make friendship bracelets today. Want to see? Derek's face softened instantly. Of course, princess. As he followed Lily upstairs, I noticed something glinting in her hair, a familiar silver chain. My mother's locket, repurposed as a hair accessory. Eleanor's latest power move, wrapped in the guise of grandmother-granddaughter bonding. I pulled out my phone and typed a quick message to Tara, need to talk. Lunch tomorrow? The game Eleanor was playing had rules I was only beginning to understand. But I was done playing defense. The trunk of Eleanor's Mercedes held more than just my missing USB drive and locket. My fingers trembled as I cataloged each stolen piece of my life, photo albums, financial documents, even Lily's baby book. The parking garage's fluorescent lights cast harsh shadows across items I'd spent weeks searching for. Find what you're looking for? Eleanor's voice cut through the silence. I slammed the trunk shut, spinning to face her. She stood there in her perfectly pressed pantsuit, keys dangling from manicured fingers. Why? The word came out raw, stripped of pretense. Oh, darling. She clicked her tongue. I'm protecting our family's legacy. You clearly don't appreciate these treasures properly. Our family? These are my things. My memories. Are they? Eleanor stepped closer, her perfume suffocating. That locket looks lovely on Lily, doesn't it? Much better than gathering dust in your jewelry box. And those financial documents, someone needs to keep track of where the family money goes. My phone buzzed, Derek calling. I ignored it. You went through our financial records? Someone had to. Her smile turned predatory. Those expensive lunches with Tara, those secret shopping trips. Derek works so hard, Reagan. He deserves better than a wife who squanders his earnings. You're monitoring my spending? The garage walls seem to close in. Does Derek know? Derek understands that mothers know best. Why do you think he gave me access to your accounts? The betrayal hit like a physical blow. I steadied myself against the car. You're lying. Am I? Eleanor pulled out her phone, showing me our joint account login screen. Ask him yourself. Though he might not appreciate you snooping through my personal property. Like you've been snooping through mine? I'm family. She spat the word like a weapon. You're just the woman who married my son. Remember that. Footsteps echoed through the garage. Derek appeared, slightly out of breath. Mom? Reagan? What's going on? Eleanor's face transformed instantly, concern replacing malice. Oh, sweetheart, I caught Reagan breaking into my car. I'm worried about her, Derek. She's been so paranoid lately. Reagan? Derek's expression hardened. What are you doing? I looked between them, mother and son, united against me. The truth would sound insane, his mother stealing our belongings, monitoring our finances, orchestrating my slow erasure from my own family. I can explain, I started, but Eleanor was already moving toward Derek, tears welling in her eyes. Perhaps we should discuss getting her some help, she whispered, loud enough for me to hear. Derek wrapped an arm around his mother's shoulders, and I watched my marriage crack along fault lines I hadn't even known existed. But Eleanor had made a mistake. She'd left her phone unlocked, and I'd seen something else on that screen, a real estate listing for a vacation home. With our account numbers in the notes. Tara slid her phone across the cafe table, screenshots of bank statements glowing on the screen. You need to see this, Reagan. My coffee turned bitter in my mouth as I scrolled through transaction after transaction. Regular transfers from our joint account to an unfamiliar number. Each labeled investment opportunity. The latest was yesterday, $50,000. I had my brother in fraud detection look into it, Tara said quietly. That account belongs to a real estate company in Vermont. My hands wouldn't stop shaking. She's stealing our savings. There's more. Tara leaned forward. The company specializes in luxury vacation homes. They're closing on a property next week. The pieces clicked together, Eleanor's sudden interest in our finances, the stolen documents, her constant undermining. She wasn't just trying to control our lives, she was building herself an escape route with our money. My phone lit up with Derek's message, Mom's planning a family dinner tonight. Important news to share. I have to go, I said, standing abruptly. I need to get to the bank before. The rest of the sentence died as Eleanor walked into the cafe. She spotted us immediately, her practiced smile never wavering as she approached. What a lovely surprise, she said, eyes fixing on Tara's phone. Discussing business? Just catching up, Tara replied, but Eleanor was already reaching for my arm. Actually, I'm glad I found you, Reagan. We need to discuss Lily's private school application. I've already put down the deposit. You what? It's all arranged. Derek agreed it's the best option, considering the limitations of her current school. My vision tunneled. Using whose money? Family money. Eleanor's grip tightened. I assumed you'd be grateful. Unless you're suggesting you know better than your husband and his mother? The threat was clear, challenge me, and I'll turn Derek against you completely. I looked at my phone again, that dinner announcement suddenly taking on new meaning. I'll see you tonight then, I said, matching her smile with one of my own. For the big news. Eleanor's expression flickered, just for a moment, but enough to confirm my suspicions. She thought she had one. That tonight she would announce her grand plan for our future, backed by our stolen savings, with Derek's blind support ensuring my compliance. But she didn't know about Tara's brother, or the evidence building on my phone. She didn't know I had already called my lawyer this morning. And she certainly didn't know that I had just enough time to reach the bank before it closed. Yes, Eleanor said, releasing my arm. Tonight will change everything. On that point, at least, we agreed. The bank manager's words hit like bullets. I'm sorry, Mrs. Parker, but those funds were withdrawn an hour ago. Your mother-in-law had the necessary authorization. My knees buckled. I gripped the edge of his desk, bank statements scattered before me like evidence at a crime scene. That's impossible. I never authorized. The documentation shows your husband granted her full access last week. He slid a form across the desk. Derek's signature stark against the white paper. The family dinner. Eleanor's smug smile. It all made horrible sense now. My phone buzzed. Derek again. Where are you? Mom's waiting. I walked out of the bank into the fading afternoon light, my shadow stretching long and distorted across the parking lot. The folder of evidence in my hands felt heavier than it should: bank statements, transfer records, photos of my stolen belongings, all worthless now. Eleanor had outmaneuvered me. Again. My phone kept buzzing. This time, Eleanor, darling, we can't start dinner without you. I'm making your favorite, though I've adjusted the recipe. Your version always was a bit lacking. I found myself driving, but not toward home. The realtor's office was still open, lights burning against the darkening sky. The same company from Eleanor's phone. The receptionist's smile faltered when I showed her my ID. Oh, Mrs. Parker. Your mother-in-law was just here finalizing the paperwork. Such a lovely vacation property she's chosen for your family. My family. Our savings. Our future. Can I see the contract? She hesitated. I'm not supposed to. Please. My voice cracked. It's my money too. The contract laid it all bare: a luxury lake house in Vermont, purchased in Eleanor's name alone, using our life savings. The closing date was tomorrow. My phone buzzed again. Derek, Reagan, where are you? Mom says you're acting strange. We need to talk. I looked at the contract, then at my phone. In my mind, I saw Eleanor at our dinner table, playing the concerned mother-in-law while she stole our future. Saw Derek believing her lies. Saw Lily growing up under her grandmother's manipulative influence. Something cold and certain crystallized in my chest. I dialed my lawyer's number, then Tara's. I need your help. Now. Eleanor wanted to play games with our future? Fine. But she'd forgotten something crucial: I had nothing left to lose. My phone buzzed one final time. Eleanor, hurry home, dear. I have such wonderful news to share. I smiled for the first time that day. So did I. I walked into our family dinner an hour late, still clutching the realtor's contract. Eleanor sat at the head of my table, Derek and Lily on either side of her. A perfect family portrait, minus the wife and mother. Finally, Eleanor beamed. Now we can share the wonderful news. Which news? I remained standing, my voice steady. The vacation house you bought with our savings, or Lily's private school that you chose without consulting me? Derek's fork clattered against his plate. Reagan, what are you talking about? Show him, I said to Eleanor. Show him the contracts you had him sign last week. Tell him about the money you transferred today. Eleanor's smile didn't waver. Derek, darling, remember what we discussed about Reagan's paranoid behavior? I have proof. I dropped the folder on the table, papers spilling across Eleanor's carefully arranged place setting. Bank statements, transfer records, the property contract, all in your name. Derek picked up the documents, his face draining of color. Mom? Everything I did was for this family, Eleanor said, reaching for his hand. Reagan's clearly not equipped to manage our affairs. Look how unstable she's becoming. Unstable? I laughed, the sound sharp enough to make Lily flinch. You stole our life savings, our memories, our future. I protected them, Eleanor snapped, mask finally cracking. From you. Your reckless spending, your selfish career ambitions, your inadequate parenting. Stop it. Derek stood up, papers trembling in his hands. Both of you, just stop. Daddy? Lily's voice was small. Is Mommy leaving? The question hung in the air like poison. Eleanor smiled again, triumphant. No one's leaving, Derek said, but he wouldn't meet my eyes. Mom was just trying to help. We can figure this out. Figure what out? I moved to Lily's chair, but she shrank away, closer to Eleanor. How your mother stole everything. How you let her. You're scaring Lily, Eleanor said softly. Perhaps you should take some time to calm down. Away from the family. I looked at my daughter, seeing Eleanor's influence in her wary expression. At Derek, still trying to rationalize his mother's betrayal. At the home I'd built, now filled with Eleanor's furniture, Eleanor's rules, Eleanor's victory. Choose, I said to Derek. Right now. Her or me. He looked at his mother, then at me, trapped between the woman who raised him and the woman he married. I can't, he whispered. Don't make me choose. But he already had. I walked out of my house that night with nothing but my phone, my evidence, and the bitter taste of failure in my mouth. Eleanor had won this round, taken everything. Almost everything. I had one card left to play. And tomorrow, when the banks opened, Eleanor would learn exactly what it meant to lose everything she valued. The bank manager's office felt too small for the four of us. Eleanor sat rigid beside Derek, her perfect posture a shield against what was coming. My lawyer placed a thick folder on the desk. Mrs. Parker Sr., he began, we have documentation of unauthorized transfers totaling over $200,000. Eleanor's laugh was brittle. Unauthorized? Derek gave me full access. To the joint account, I said. Not to my personal accounts. Not to Lily's college fund. The color drained from Derek's face. What personal accounts? I pulled out my phone, showing him the banking app. The ones I opened when I first suspected your mother was stealing from us. The ones I've been quietly transferring my salary into for months. You've been hiding money? Derek's voice cracked. Like mother, like daughter-in-law, Eleanor sneered, but I saw the first flicker of fear in her eyes. The difference, my lawyer continued, is that Mrs. Reagan Parker's actions were legal. The same cannot be said for the fraudulent documents used to access the college fund. Eleanor's hand twitched toward her designer purse. Derek, surely you don't believe. Show him, I said. The lawyer slid across copies of the forged documents, Derek's signature clearly duplicated from other papers. Then the real estate contract, showing Eleanor as sole owner of the vacation property purchased with our money. I was protecting our legacy, Eleanor hissed. Someone had to, since my son married a woman more interested in her career than her family. My career, I said quietly, just saved our daughter's future. While you were buying yourself a lake house with our savings, I was building a safety net. Derek stood suddenly, knocking his chair backward. Stop. Just. Stop. We all froze, watching him pace the small office. The property closes today, I said. In 1 hour. Sign it over to Lily's trust, or we press charges. You wouldn't dare. But Eleanor's perfect mask was cracking. Derek, tell her. Tell her what, Mom? Derek turned, really looking at his mother perhaps for the first time. That stealing from your grandchild is okay? That forging my signature is protecting us? Eleanor reached for him, but he stepped back. Everything I did. Was for yourself, he finished. Reagan's right. Sign it over. The pen shook in Eleanor's hand as she signed the transfer documents. Each stroke seemed to age her, power draining away with the ink. You've destroyed this family, she whispered. No, I said, gathering the papers. I just made sure you couldn't. Derek held the door for me as we left his mother sitting there, small and defeated in her expensive clothes. We had won, but victory tasted different than I'd imagined. It tasted like ashes and new beginnings. The movers carried the last box from our house as Lily clutched her stuffed rabbit, watching from the front steps. Derek stood beside her, hands shoved deep in his pockets. You don't have to do this, he said. I adjusted the strap of my laptop bag. Yes, I do. The rental house waited across town, smaller but untouched by Eleanor's influence. No rearranged furniture, no stolen memories, no shadows in the corners. Mom's in therapy now, Derek offered. She's trying to understand why she. Good for her. I checked my watch. Lily needs to get going if she's going to make her dance class. Our daughter perked up. Can Grandma come watch? The question hung between us like smoke. Derek tensed, waiting for my response. Not today, sweetheart. I held out my hand. But maybe someday, if she shows us she can respect boundaries. Lily nodded, too young to understand the weight of those words but old enough to feel their importance. She hugged Derek goodbye, then skipped to my car. The trust paperwork came through, Derek said quickly, before I could leave. Everything's secured for Lily's future. I know. I checked the accounts that morning, watching the numbers settle into place like puzzle pieces. That's not why I'm leaving. Then why? I thought about Eleanor's letter, delivered yesterday. Her elegant handwriting explaining away her actions as love, as protection, as necessity. No apology, just justification wrapped in manipulation. Because some debts can't be repaid with money, I said. And some trust, once broken, needs more than time to heal. Derek stepped forward, reaching for words he couldn't find. In his hesitation, I saw the remnants of his mother's influence, the lingering doubt she'd planted. I'll pick up Lily on Friday, he said finally. I nodded and turned away, but his voice stopped me one last time. Reagan? I'm sorry I didn't see it sooner. The words should have felt like victory. Instead, they felt like the first honest thing we'd said to each other in months. I drove away from our old house, watching it shrink in the rearview mirror. Lily hummed in the back seat, already adapting to our new reality with the resilience of childhood. My phone buzzed, another message from Eleanor. I deleted it without reading, just like I had the last three. Some people mistake control for love, manipulation for protection. Eleanor had taught me that lesson the hard way. But she taught me something else too. Sometimes the greatest victory isn't in winning the fight, but in choosing which battles are worth fighting at all. I turned the corner, leaving the past behind, driving toward a future that was smaller, harder, but finally, completely our own.